All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into a very special episode of the BCP. We are making our WWE Elimination Chamber prediction panel picks here. That's a mouthful. 2024. I'm very excited to welcome in our all-star panel from all over the nation. Please welcome back to the show. We haven't seen her in some time. We had to have her back. I saw her out in Chicago. It's so good to see her smiling face back on the BCP. Please welcome back to the show from the Hardy Wrestling Podcast, the Sister Hardy, the Hardy sister, our good sister, Stephanie Hardy. What up, Steph? Welcome in. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's Thursday. There's a lot to look forward to in wrestling this weekend, so it's great. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, and thank you for coming back. Long overdue. We're networking, we're making connections. It was so good to see you out in Chicago. Everyone check out Stephanie's podcast, the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. Great interview with my main squeeze, Vicious Vicky. Fantastic. Vicky loved the interview, which is a testament. A lot of these wrestlers, they do all these podcasts. She said Stephanie was great. So guys, go check out her podcast. Thank you for making the time, Steph. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. It was such an honor to have Vicky on. And of course, we're just getting even more, busier around this week because we just had interviews with the WOW superheroes, Keita Rush and Foxy Fierce for Black History Month. And we got one more coming down the pike. So, I'm really excited for everything that's going on in wrestling leading up to WrestleMania. It's a lot of great stuff happening.
It's exciting, and I had to get the plug in there. I'm not sleeping on the couch tonight. We'll put it that way. And guys, please welcome back to the show. I have met, or making his debut, I should say. This is a gentleman that I have met 2 times out in Chicago. We networked over on Facebook. It was so good to get to know this guy. I've been on his show.
Don't forget about Tampa, bro.
Dude, we all over the place, man. So good to meet him, network with him, and I've been on his show, Knockouts and 3 Counts, which is incredible. He's doing some great things. He's hustling just like all of us. Please making his BCP debut. Welcome in our good friend Kyle Collison. What's up, man? Welcome.
What up, though? That's how we say things over here in Detroit. But with all that said, appreciate the time, man. Thanks for letting me come through your show. Yeah, that's right. You've been guest on our show a couple times now. If you guys are fans of pro wrestling, which I'm sure you are if you're watching this, and if you're fans of the world of combat sports, Knockouts and 3 Counts is the place to find. So, a lot to talk about with Elimination Chamber. I'm ready to get to Philly because it only took me about a week of work and I was already ready for another vacation.
Let's do it. Yeah, Philly's going to be great, man. So good to have you here. Guys, thanks for joining the chat. Let us know as we go along who you have. And please welcome back to the show. You know him as the leader of Key Nation, a BCP Plus contributor. And he's rocking the hat. He's rocking the BCP merch. Shout it out. Get yours now. Shameless promo. BCP for life. Our good friend, Mr. Wayne Keener. What's up, man? Welcome back.
I feel like I need a podcast. Like I always feel so outclassed on these things.
Outclassed.
But this whole I feel like this market's saturated. Maybe I'll do like the Power Tools podcast or something. You know what I mean? So,
I'm here for that. Little Home Depot sprinkled. I love it, man. That's awesome. I'm here for it.
Right.
He's already got the name. Guys, thank you so much for making the time. Before we get into the matches, man, just a general kind of, I don't want to get too into Mania. I think we're all feeling this excitement. We talked about it a little bit before we went on air, but this long-term storytelling has been such a key part ever since, I always say it started, again with Ciampa and Gargano back in NXT Black and Gold. Now with the Bloodline, the stuff with Sammy, Cody returning to WWE, the finish, the story, everything going on, and all these twists and turns, The Rock coming back, the injury to CM Punk. We're seeing this Elimination Chamber match where, it plays a role in Seth's WrestleMania match. There's so much going on. Steph, I'll throw it to you first. Just your level of excitement. Have you been enjoying this long-term storytelling? Are there any twists and turns that you might feel coming up or predictions or anything like that?
Yeah, I've been really excited about this run that we've been on. Like, it feels like the road to WrestleMania for me kicked off when you and I both were in Chicago and at Survivor Series, because at War Games they had such an amazing pay-per-view as a whole. Like the entire show was great. We saw returns and it was just like really great. We saw R-Truth, we saw Randy Orton, and the excitement was already high, right? But then at the very end you have CM Punk coming back, and that really kicked off everything, because at that point we were trying to figure out, well, like, what do we have to look forward to next at this point? They've done the impossible. They brought this man back here after years of being gone. What could possibly happen next? And then, of course, we get into this year. So much has already happened, and it's just February. And now The Rock has gotten into the swing of things. And what's even crazier is Cody, earned his way back into the main event picture. And then, even in front of my face in my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama, shout out to us, The Rock surprised us and and threw a wrench into things, and it caused a wave of support for Cody here again. And I am just excited to see how everything is going to turn out. Like, I was excited about this WrestleMania, like, even before, we knew what was even going to happen, because WrestleMania is my favorite pay-per-view ever. Like, if I could have like a favorite big four, that is really it. Because you just never know what's going to happen. And I'm just really, really excited for what's in store. All the stories have been very meaty and very, amazing if you pay attention to the little things and the big things, kind of like the MCU. It's just really great. Like, I just can't even put into words how fantastic this has all been. Like, I'm just really excited for what's to come.
You're speaking my language with the MCU. Real quick shout out Jeffrey T. Fountain in the chat saying "Roll Tide," shouting you out there. Had to get that in. Steph, I want to ask you this. You mentioned you were there in Birmingham. You were in attendance, right?
Yes, I was.
So big moment. I wanted to ask you this, but I'm glad to have you on the air now. The moment, obviously, when The Rock came out, right, and he has that interaction with Cody. Just walk us through that live crowd reaction, like not what we had heard on TV, but being there, and then also maybe after the cameras turned off, like the reception for The Rock, because that's when things kind of started to turn, and things got a little interesting. What was that crowd like?
Well, I can definitely say this. We were screaming. So a lot of what a lot of people heard in terms of the excitement of all of us popping and yelling, that was real, because we just didn't know. I was there with my boyfriend, and we literally were just so surprised. Like, oh my God, he's really here. Like, what? Like, we were just really surprised and just really happy, because he hadn't been to Birmingham since I was a child, I would say. And so it was just really cool for that to happen. And, the whole city turned out for it. The mayor was there because, of course, he now owns the UFL, and the two-time USFL champions are the Birmingham Stallions. So everybody was there. It was just a whole vibe, and it was great. But I will say, once Cody did say what he said about possibly not facing Roman at WrestleMania, we were all shocked and I was dismayed a little. But then when The Rock came out, we were excited. But then when they shook hands, it was kind of like a lull and a confusion, like, what's going on? There weren't any boos, because we just didn't know what it meant. And we were just like, yo, like, what is going on? It was just like a lull of excitement and a mixture of confusion. That's kind of what it was. So that's really where it all left off. And then that's where the show went off for you guys. So it was just really interesting, I'll say that. But then once I got home and realized, how everyone was reacting online, it was insane. Everybody had a lot of feelings, and I had a lot of feelings too. And I went live the next morning and talked about it. So it was just insane to witness. But I was happy to have been there, and happy that my city was the catalyst for something that major and important in terms of Mania.
Very well said, and thank you for sharing that. Guys in the chat, let us know what you thought. Let us know your thoughts on this story that we are reading. I feel like we're just getting to the next chapter here. I'm enjoying the ride. I don't like jumping to conclusions, man. I like to take in character work and story arc. So thank you, Steph, for sharing that. Kyle, I'll throw it to you next, man, because you cover not only pro wrestling, but MMA, combat sports, man. Check out his interview we saw with Shayna Baszler recently. He's killing it out there. But in more of the story world, what's kind of like your understanding of this right now, your level of excitement with everything going on?
Do me one favor and do me one replay because I don't know what happened, but my mic, it said it couldn't read my mic and then I couldn't hear you anymore.
Oh,
so
no,
I don't
you're
know what
good.
happened.
You're lucky you couldn't hear me. Trust me. You're thankful. No,
I've heard you in person. Don't you lie to me.
Stop this guy. So basically, just with everything going on, before we get into the match, it's just the level of excitement heading into WrestleMania where we're kind of, telling this story. Steph just talked about The Rock coming to her hometown, Birmingham, and kind of not stirring the pot, but changing things up a little bit. I think fans are kind of jumping to conclusions. We are all having our predictions, which is a lot of fun. Are you kind of on the mindset like, hey, you want to see how this plays out? Do you kind of have some predictions going into things? What's your level of excitement here with this Cody Rhodes, Rock, Roman Reigns story?
So I'm definitely excited going into it for sure. I love wrestling is at its best when you're able to watch it and be like, I don't know which way you're going to go. And when there's 4 or 5 different ways you can go, it's awesome to hear that. Now, as far as The Rock coming back, I love The Rock coming back just as much as everybody else does. But here's the thing. I was there in Tampa with you when we were at the Royal Rumble. And the thing is, anybody who was there, especially those who were covering it for the media or whatever, I feel like as soon as the news broke about all the stuff with Vince, it was kind of hard not to feel like it was like a break glass. Oh shit, what are we going to do? Let's go get The Rock. And I say that from the standpoint of you have to take this into effect. This is the first big thing that's happened since TKO is the one who owns WWE. So when it was just WWE, you could bury things. You know what I mean? So I feel like once that news broke, I feel like a lot of us, myself included at first, thought that was why we got such the drastic shift with The Rock. I think eventually we all, myself included, thought that match was going to happen. But I felt like, dang, they just really sped this up. But I love the fact that they're at least doing something that that for so many years we had all complained about, in that now you see the fans all say that we want Cody thing, which again, in the same way, I think the Vince stuff might have preemptively kind of helped bring The Rock back quicker maybe than we would have seen him. I feel like the we want Cody thing really showed how much fans really want to see what's going to happen with Cody and for Cody to get his fair shake. So I say all that to say that now that we see The Rock come back, which it was pretty funny to see him on SmackDown, and then he made everybody, including Roman Reigns, look small in his 1999 slash 2024 Rock shirt get up. That popped me huge. I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, okay, so now we're just ripping the sleeves off and we don't even get the whole shirt anymore. But I think that it was smart on WWE's part for them to, kind of have him go the heel route. But to Stephanie's point, when you notice the big things and the little things, there's the thing about The Rock did like this. He didn't do like this. He did like this. And on top of that, you also have to take into effect, look what we saw on Raw. The bloodline once again screws Jay out of getting another title. I think we're going to see the Usos face each other at WrestleMania. Or is Jay in the chamber?
No, Jay is
No.
not in the chamber.
Okay. So then maybe we could see Jay versus Jimmy at Elimination Chamber, but I think that's more likely going to happen at WrestleMania. But it's crazy because to your earlier point, Rob, I think with there being so many different ways they can go, that's what makes this so interesting. And the fact that I do say that I think it's going to be Jay versus Jimmy, but I think even though The Rock said I'm going to do everything in my power to make you be a loser to Cody, something tells me that, again, with those little details, I think The Rock's going to kind of observe what's going on with Roman Reigns. And I think when we finally do get to Cody versus The Rock at WrestleMania, I feel like, and I could be totally talking out of my ass, but we'll see. I think that what we could end up seeing is if somehow Roman loses to Cody, I mean, think about it. If you really think about it, even though the bloodline's been going on for as long as they have, Solo's been losing, and he was never losing. You got Jay and Jimmy are split up. And then thirdly, then you've got what you see between Rock and Roman. So I kind of think what we're going to see happen is it's going to be something to the effect of, I think The Rock will be with Roman, most of the way through it. But if Cody manages to win that match, I think that's going to begin the slide of the bloodline. But what I hope happens is I do hope we get a few more people plugged into the bloodline story. Like, I'd love to see a Jacob Fatu show up. I would love to see I would like to see Naomi even added somehow. I mean, there's a million different names that you could tag in there, but I just think I would like to see some more people added. I still like the idea of Afa and Sika and the elders, being involved in that match when The Rock and Roman finally face each other. I still think there's a lot more to the story that's going to unfold, and I think with The Rock being on the board, it doesn't mean that head of the table match necessarily has to happen at WrestleMania. I think that could be something that goes down the line for a SummerSlam or a like a Survivor Series thing.
Yeah, man. Very well said. And some great points there. Real quick in the chat, welcome in Anthony Fazio. Hope to see you at some indie shows, man. Shout you out. Thanks for joining the podcast. Let us know who you got. Real quick, Billy Ann Wolf in the chat. Check out her new podcast. I believe it's Matriarchs of the Mat. Correct me if I'm wrong. Feel free to plug the new podcast in the comments, guys. Go check them out. Real quick, Seth in the chat, not Rollins, saying Elimination Chamber trivia. Which WWE superstar is credited with being the co-creator of the Chamber alongside Eric Bischoff? Is it Jericho, Big Show, Triple H, or Shane McMahon? I was going to guess Jericho, so let us know in the chat.
I thought it was Jericho.
Yeah, Jericho.
I knew
he came up with the Money in the Bank, so that's why
Money in the Bank for sure. But I want to say that was Jericho too.
Very interesting. Wayne, let's throw it to you, man. You're on top of all this stuff going on, man. What do you think about this build to WrestleMania and the story that is unfolding?
Yeah, I mean it's not really much more that hasn't been said, but I do love, I think my favorite version of The Rock is like the corporate heel Rock, and man, that promo on SmackDown just kind of brought me right back to that. Like we said, all the way back to the silk shirt, even though it was, now rockified for 2024. But I think what's really funny is just like R-Truth kind of breaks people when he talks, and so did Sammy. Like, dude, Jimmy could not keep his stuff together during The Rock's promo. Everybody else stayed so stoic, and Jimmy was losing it every word The Rock
said. You ain't never told somebody you're going to smack the herpes off him?
Well, no, I tend to try to avoid that.
You haven't lived then.
No, that's very true. I haven't. But no, I just think like what everybody says. There's little nuances, and I feel like WWE knows how smart their fan base is, and so do you throw those nuances in for somebody to say, oh, this instead of this is a sign? Or do you throw that in there to throw everybody off, knowing that everybody's going to say that meant something, when in reality, at the spur of the moment, The Rock just accidentally threw a thumb out instead of put the finger up, So I feel like just like Kyle said in the beginning, when you don't know where something is going to definitively head, that's what's the most exciting. There's a lot of like memes out there, like before dirt sheets and stuff, where nobody knew people were injured. Nobody knew there was contract negotiations. You just watched wrestling. And I feel like at least coming out of the press conference in Vegas, like I was watching wrestling. Like that was just raw, unadulterated craziness. And like I had no idea where any of this was going. My head was spinning. Are we going to get Seth Cody versus Rock Roman? Like how are we going to do this? And then when it became so adhesively Rock Roman, I'm like, I don't understand how you come out and say the world wants The Rock versus Roman, and the next thing you know, you're, don't you talk about my mama kind of shit, right? Like, I don't understand how we can get there and there not be a deeper plan for that. You know what I mean? But when we talk about the road to WrestleMania, I know everybody's fixed on the bloodline, but there are so few things tightened up when we're only like 40 plus days away. I'm more interested in the subplots, right? Like, you got Logan Paul in the chamber. You obviously know he's not going to win it because WWE likes defending all their belts at the pay-per-views like that. So, like, what's next for him? Is it going to be like LA Knight? Is that going to be his first big title we see? So there's like, what about Sami Zayn? The man goes from main eventing in 1 year to having like no horse in the race. So like, there's so much to get you emotionally invested. Raw and SmackDown, hell, even NXT. How are you going to have your tag team champs? One just signed a contract to SmackDown. Like, what's that look like? With the Good Brothers going back down and everything. Like, I am at the edge of my seat, especially with WrestleMania in our backyard. I mean, hell, I'm 15 minutes from the link. It's going to be wild, man. And like the bloodline thing is huge, right? And speaking of that, I have to do this. So my boss at work is a huge Roman Reigns fan. I actually refer to him as my tribal chief. I'm his wise man. So I do. I swear. Wow. Every morning I walk in, I say, "How are you today, my tribal chief?" And so I promised him that I would do this. So John Chico, the manager at Home Depot, my tribal chief, I acknowledge you. And I had to get that done because man signs my paychecks. And,
that's right. Give this man a raise. What a guy.
Oh, yeah. But I'm super excited about not only the bloodline, but all the subplots that head to WrestleMania, because WrestleMania is 2 full nights of action. Hell, they even moved the start time earlier on Saturday. So they got to pack this thing. And for us to really only have one announced match 43 days away-ish, like I'm expecting Saturday with only 4 matches to blow our minds in terms of everything coming into focus. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Love it. Very well said. And you guys are speaking my language. We're talking subplots. We're talking nuances, man. I love it. Wrestling, shameless plug. We talked to Deanna about this. Like, wrestling is very like, in your face, I'm this character. And, she prefers more of the nuanced stuff, which made me pay more attention to that kind of stuff, man. And I like it when things are sprinkled in nuances. We talk about the gesture from The Rock and things like that. So it gets us intrigued. Real quick, to your point, Wayne, Sami Zayn, I've been saying this for years, man, most underrated. Like, he changed the business. He changed long-term storytelling. He added a little bit of levity in ways that we hadn't seen before. We had those SNL character break moments. We had the tension, the facials. Sammy deserves something big. They kind of sprinkled it in with a backstage promo, like, hey, I don't know what my road to WrestleMania is, but I need to put my focus elsewhere. So that should be interesting. And then with the NXT stuff, with people coming up to the main roster, I typically do see title holders in NXT. They're usually holding a tag title or a North American title when they come up. That's something I've noticed over the years as well. So that might be by design. Very interesting stuff here, guys. If you are in the chat, thank you for staying up, everybody, and joining the chat right now. If you could share the stream right now, so we'll get it going all over the place. And as we go, I want to know your guys' theories in the chats. I want to know who you think are going to win these matches. And we're going to start right with the men's Elimination Chamber because it goes lockstep with everything we're talking about. It's going to be for the number 1 contender to take on Seth Rollins at WrestleMania for his World Heavyweight Championship. Drew McIntyre versus the Viper, Randy Orton versus Bobby Lashley versus LA Knight versus Kevin Owens versus Logan Paul. I certainly have my thoughts on this one. Wayne, I'm going to throw it to you first, man, because I made you go last time, man. Let's see what you got on this.
All right, yeah. So, as we talked about heading to the road to WrestleMania and the pictures becoming clearer, I really think that when you think about the potential winners of this match, I think it has to be a 2-horse race. If we look at what the build has been up to Elimination Chamber, right? So my thoughts are either Orton or Drew McIntyre. Now, here's why I'm leaning Drew McIntyre to win. I feel like Drew, when he won his championship, at WrestleMania. It was the COVID WrestleMania, right? No crowd, no reaction, no pop. And he's put in a ton of work, a ton of character work. Like even the un like the non in front of camera stuff, like on X and on social media and stuff, drawing the tears on Cody's face on the mural, or just making inappropriate comment responses to other superstars. It's been hilarious to kind of watch, but I feel like he gets that moment, and I feel like he wins the chamber. I also feel like something within the chamber happens, whether one screws the other. And I also think out of these 6 people, we see a bunch of things heading to Mania. I think we could get LA Knight Logan for the belt. That could be something that happens because of a chamber. I just feel like the mega star, like, it's a meteoric rise. I know he's not a spring chicken, but the man has come through, changed the game. He's been able to adapt to any role he's played and just continue to be a merch pusher. And with that being said, you need to strap him. I feel like he deserves it. I feel like so why not this? So I feel like Drew McIntyre wins the chamber. I feel like he goes on and beats Seth at Mania because of the injury. He's not going to be 100%. Let the man heal, and I feel like we also get some subplot. I feel like we get Logan, LA Knight, and the only thing that really is throwing a wrench in all this is Randy Orton. I feel like, he's too big of a person not to have a big role. Do we end up making it a triple threat between Elimination and Mania? Does something, cross the lines there? I still think McIntyre walks out with the chamber win. And, that's my pick.
Great assessment. Steph, your thoughts on the men's Elimination Chamber?
Yeah, my thoughts on the men's elimination chamber is just, I mean, it's a really stacked match. Like, all of these men are very gifted in a number of ways, and I can't wait to see all of that on display. And then you also have, really solid heavyweights. You have, Bobby Lashley, who is an OG at this point, technically, and then you have Randy, who's an OG as well, looking to further prove himself since he's returned and he's done all the things, but he still wants to hang with everybody, and I still think that's cool. But the Logan Paul of it all is just really insane to me, because I was just like, bro, why is he in this and he has a title? I was really confused about that at first, but I was like, okay, fine, he's in the match, he's going to Australia, that's going to be a fun thing, so here we are. And then you do have the Drew McIntyre of it all and the LA Knight of it all. In my perfect fan world, I would love it if LA Knight won, because he's just worked so hard and he's tried so hard to get to that top of the mountain when it comes to a top title in that way. And it's just like, it would be so cool if LA got it. But I am predicting that Drew McIntyre will ultimately win it, because Seth Rollins' title was the title that CM Punk was probably going to go after. And he was responsible for him getting hurt in the Royal Rumble match. And Drew is making it his business to tell everybody that he was responsible for injuring him. And now he's out and his WrestleMania dreams are dead because of me. He's being real petty about it. So I feel like what better way to be even more petty about it than to win the Elimination Chamber match and not only take the title that CM Punk was gunning for, but also fulfill his dream of winning a championship in front of the crowd, like Wayne was saying, because he makes that his point of motivation every time we hear him speak. And it makes me sad, because it's almost like he feels like that WWE Championship reign doesn't count, and it does. At least to me, it does, in a very sentimental way, because it still counts. It's WrestleMania. And even though it was during a different time, we were all struggling, he was still carrying the company during a time of which, we really needed it. So I feel like it counts, but his character somehow or another just doesn't feel like it counts that much. And he has to atone for that himself. So I feel that he will go on to win the men's chamber and face off against Seth one more time, because they have fought numerous times for that title and he has lost every time because Seth has a stranglehold on that thing, and rightfully so. But I feel like this is going to be Drew's moment in the sun, and he's going to go on to have his moment in Philadelphia against Seth.
Very, very well said. You bring up some great points. Real quick, you mentioned CM Punk. I've always been very critical of Punk on this show, man. I'll say this, he's always have respect for what he's brought to the business. He always makes it interesting. But having him on that pre-show in Vegas on that panel, he was fantastic. He was great. He's talking garbage about The Rock. The Rock doesn't have a mic. He's right behind him. Like, just everything going on with that whole thing. Seth Rollins, I thought was great at that press conference, but they kind of almost made him look insignificant. But at the same time, we're seeing him kind of get Cody's back. We saw Seth Rollins in some interviews, some of the press afterwards. He took some shots at Punk's UFC career. Like, he's still jabbing him, and the guy's on the shelf. So it should be very interesting. We got Wayne picking Drew. We got Steph picking Drew. Do we have the trifecta here, Kyle?
Unfortunately, we got the hat trick. Shout out to my Red Wings. Get a damn W.
There it is.
But with that, yeah, I mean, I feel like Drew is the logical pick in this one. I agree with everything that was said so far. I also think that Randy would be the other logical pick if it wasn't going to be Drew. But I just feel like, especially after, like you guys all said, with the COVID mania and all that stuff, I feel like Drew has almost had to rebuild himself again, even still being inside WWE. And I feel like we're kind of entering into that heel phase for him, or kind of more similar to what we were seeing in ICW when he was away from WWE. So I feel like we're going to kind of enter into a new Drew. I also think that a lot of these people that are involved in said matches could be involved against each other at WrestleMania. Like, I personally believe LA Knight's probably going to be the one to take the belt off of Logan Paul. But I hate to agree with Jeff Fontaine today, but man, I've been there for a lot of, I should say, I hate to disagree. I've been there for most of Logan Paul's big matches so far, being the fact that I live in Detroit. He had his match here at Survivor Series. I was there when he had his tag team match against The Miz at WrestleMania. I was there when he had his thing last year. So, I've been there for a lot of his big matches. Go ahead and ring the bell if anybody who watches our show is watching. Stay tuned. There may or may not, or really is a t-shirt coming soon for that. But with that said, I don't know, man. I think Logan Paul's going to pull out some really cool shit in the chamber too. I wouldn't be shocked to see him try to pull some shit like RVD did, all while taking a selfie. But with that said, I think he's going to have a good showing in there. But as far as my winner, I'm with you guys. I think Drew McIntyre has to win.
Yeah, I think Logan Paul is going to be securing more spots than Cruella DeVille. And that being said, look, Logan Paul is definitely going to go for those big spots. I think he's going to be the one. I always do the process of elimination, especially in these multi-man and obviously elimination chamber matches. I think Logan Paul is going to be the one to take out LA Knight. Little friction there. Say final four. I think final two is going to be Orton. And I believe Jeffrey in the chat, he had said, I like Wayne's thinking, but he's discounting the most electrifying letters in sports entertainment, RKO. I mean, Wayne did mention that Orton could be a favorite. Just calling it like it is. A nice pose there. I love it. But I think it's going to come down to Drew and Randy Orton as the final two. I think KO and Logan Paul will kind of get their, revisit of their little feud. Maybe to start the match. I'll say maybe to start the match. And then I think we're going to see Drew get the big win here. I'm going to go, for the four here, the agreement all around. I love Drew's character work lately. I've always been I've always liked Drew. I wouldn't say he's been one of my favorites, but guys like him and Seth has always carried the product on his back.
He needs his old theme song back and he'll be super over.
Okay. But they've really leveled up, and I love Drew's tweener work. We said on for years on the podcast how he carried the company through the COVID era, and like Stephanie said, that's can't be glazed over. That's very, very important, man. Bring smiles to our faces during a tough time, man. That's the most important thing. That being said, storyline wise, he brings that up. He talks about, he had that promo with Seth where it's like kind of respectful but kind of not, and then Seth says something and it sends him over the top and he headbutts him. I'm loving this work by Drew. Like, ultimate tweener. I think by now we can fully call him a fully fleshed heel, but I'm loving this. He does, and we say this all the time on the show. I don't want to repeat myself, but he does kind of deserve that moment. I'm not saying he's going to get it, but I am saying he's going to win the Elimination Chamber here. And even in the chat, Gina saying at WrestleMania, it's going to be LA Knight, okay, versus Seth Rollins, but Damian Priest will cash in. That's an interesting pick as well. I think Damian Priest plays a role at WrestleMania for sure. He's had that briefcase for some time, or maybe on the Raw after. So that should be very, very interesting. Lots going on. And I just want to give props to Seth's character work as well. His promo with CM Punk, he basically gets in the ring, man. And like I said, I've heard, this is going back to the ROH days, like people could not stand him. They did not get along with Punk. He's been difficult to work. And these are just things I've heard from the grapevine. I don't know the guy. Very appreciative of his work. I loved him on the panel, but I've been critical of him. And he goes out there with his promo, and he looks him in the eye and says, I hate you. Like, it was just like, there's a lot of realism going into a lot of these things right now. And if not, they are towing that line perfectly. I would have loved to see that match. But that being said, I think if anyone deserves that spot, I think it is Drew for multiple reasons. And that's why I think Drew McIntyre wins this match. Let's go on to our next match. Guys, again, share the stream. Let us know who you have. Let's talk about the Women's World Championship. Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax, guys. Shameless promo. Check out our interview with Nia Jax over on BCP+. She was fantastic. She talked about her Royal Rumble goals, her WrestleMania goals. She talked about wanting to fight Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. She talked about representation, so many things. So check that out. She was fantastic. But unfortunately, that being said, I'm just going to make my pick now. Rhea Ripley, welcome home, and congrats on the dub because you are going to defeat Nia Jax here. Steph, your thoughts?
Whew. These are two forceful women. They are so strong, and they could both probably lift each other with just no issues at all. And it's going to be a slobber knocker, like JR will always say. It's definitely going to be a slobber knocker of the match. And also kudos to both women because I did hear that Nia was born in Australia, so she's Australian born. Yes. So, it'll be a homecoming for both women, but definitely more so on the side of Rhea Ripley, and it's just really great to see these women, get to this point for this championship. And Nia has had a pretty solid comeback so far, and she's been really great. But I have to give it to Rhea. Like, Rhea Ripley has been a dominant champion for almost an entire year with two different titles. Like, she beat Charlotte, she beat basically everybody on the entire Raw roster, and even helped like the Judgment Day if she had time to, and basically was turning their heads, and everything. Like, she's just a very calculated woman. So I feel like even with her getting more involved in the women's division, we're seeing more of her dominance take place, even though these other girls are putting forth the effort to try to beat her and take her down. It's just not enough. It's just not enough because Rhea is just she's just so forceful. So I'm predicting that Rhea is going to retain the Women's World Championship. And, we'll just have to see how the Women's Chamber goes after that to see who she's facing at Mania. But I'm definitely predicting that Rhea will retain.
Yeah, and let's not get it wrong. And Steph, you said that perfectly. Rhea is the leader of the Judgment Day, I'm just going to put that out there. Real quick, going to the comments. Mike Ferreira saying, I hated the three-man band there. Come on, man. That was an amazing theme song, the three-man band.
It was.
Yeah, right. That was so good. JVD from Front Row Mafia saying, Cody will not finish the story. Elimination Chamber is a speed bump to the inevitable, and he shouldn't. This is all about long-term storytelling. This is all about framing years to come for the Samoan dynasty. And Steph, you brought up a great point. Nia being born in Australia. I did not know that. I think I had heard, and please correct me if my facts are not wrong, that there is a large Samoan population in Australia. So that's very interesting to hear that Nia was born in Australia. That's so cool to hear. So this is a homecoming for both of them. I did not know that. But, it's got to be mommy, right? What do you got, Kyle?
Mm-hmm.
I can't argue that. I hate to burst everybody's bubble, but I got to meet mommy when we were in Dallas, and she could not have been nicer. Didn't even introduce herself as Rhea. It was super cool people. But with that being said, I also got to do one of those interviews with Nia Jax while we were in Tampa, and she talked about her cousin Dwayne coming back and a lot of other things, which you can go ahead and check out over there at Knockouts and Three Counts. But with that being said, she also told us in that interview that her eyes have always been set on mommy. I mean, I think a lot of people's eyes are set on mommy, but that's a story for another time. But with that being said, I think she's keeping the belt. I don't think Nia is going to take it off of her. Only way I could see that happening is if somehow the BS that we've seen within the Judgment Day ends up being what cost her the title, and I don't really think we see something like that until we get to the time where they want to, start the downhill slide of the Judgment Day. So in this match, I think mommy stays on top, but I think it's going to be a hell of a match. And like I said, shout out to Nia for the time in Tampa. I think it's going to be a war. Hopefully she stays, up towards the top of the women's division. Because the other thing with Nia for me too is like, obviously everybody can't be at the top all the time, but I feel like Nia is kind of like that kind of character where like, if she just starts losing stupid matches like we've seen in the past, where like we just forget that she has all the size that she has, I feel like that not only doesn't do anything for whoever beats her, it doesn't do anything for Nia. So like, I think Rhea gets the win. I think she should get the win, but I hope that if that is what happens, then at least that Nia stay somewhere around that that top of the game, because she also said that she feels like she's got unfinished business with Becky Lynch too when she talked to us. So I'm just saying, one way or the other, I want to see Nia Jax stay somewhere towards the top of the ring, but I don't think it's time for Rhea to lose that belt at all.
Yeah, very, very well said. And real quick in the chat, let's take it over. They have a unique opportunity with Nia and the Bloodline. Kelvin in the chat, welcome, Kelvin K.
Please do that. What did I say with that? Hot damn it. I want to
great.
see more people plugged in between now and Mania. I asked her about that with the Bloodline as well, so I am here for that shit.
Love it. Yeah, the fans are here for it. And Kelvin, of course, a sponsor here from the No Gimmicks podcast. Check them out. Love the No Gimmicks podcast. And also a BCP Plus contributor. We have some cool UFL coverage, I believe, coming up this upcoming season, thanks to some hard work by Kelvin.
Detroit
and Mike
Panthers, hot damn it.
Yeah, okay. That's it. Yeah, we have some coverage on the site, man. So,
Big E knew what was up, all right? That's all I'm going to say.
Okay. I'm liking this excitement. I'm very excited for UFL, but I digress. This is going to be a great match. Yeah, Stephanie, you excited over there?
Yeah. Oh, yes. I'm definitely excited. It's going to be fun.
Love it. Wayne, what do you think of this one, man?
Yeah, so I I know this has been kind of a boring, copy paste, but I have to pick Rhea for a number of reasons. One, my daughter Hannah is absolutely obsessed with her, and the door doesn't really work on the lock doesn't work on the bedroom door as well as I hoped it would. So if I picked against her, it would be hard to sleep. And also, I agree with everyone else. What I do love about what the WWE is doing with Nia Jax is they are making her that dominant force that she is. She's picking up just unbelievable wins, heading into this. And really until this last one where they kind of double teamed her there a little bit when Becky had the cup in her hand, she's kind of been unstoppable. So I feel like they're doing what's right for Nia by respecting the power and just what she brings to the table. But at the end of the day, it's like everybody said, not only is she the leader of Judgment Day, look what she's been able to do. I think Stephanie said, helping Judgment Day out when she can. She single-handedly kept that belt around Dominic's waist, every damn match. He would have had that belt, for a cup of coffee if it wasn't for Rhea Ripley coming out to every North American, title defense and pretty much guaranteeing that he kept his belt. So she's doing great things for herself. She's doing great things for the women's division. She's doing great things for the company overall. And I agree. You can't. She's too hot of a commodity right now. She's too over. She's, not to be cliche, but she's on top, and she'll remain that way in Elimination Chamber.
Very well said. Good stuff. Guys, again, please share the stream. Let us know in the chat who you got. Let's move on to our next match. Let's talk about, well, the Undisputed Tag Team Championships. Is the Judgment Day, the champions, defend against the team of Pete Dunne. So glad to say that name again. And Tyler Bate. Man, I would have loved to seen DIY in this position, man. I was excited for that SmackDown match. Johnny's our guy. Yeah, DX, right? So first of all, let's just say it right now. Truth is going to be at Chamber. He's probably going to pop up in the women's chamber, or he's going to be in a pod already in the men's chamber. It's going to be good fun. Truth is a national treasure. I'm going to leave it at that. Excited to see the levity that he's going to bring to this PLE, which is amazing. But let's talk about these tag team championships. We're a pro Johnny show. Love Johnny. Ciampa as well. We talked about the long-term storytelling back in the black and gold era. It's great to see DIY get that momentum, but again, unable to capture tag team championships. They had their opportunity. They were defeated by Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne on SmackDown in a tremendous match. I would have liked it to gone longer, selfishly. That being said, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, been very impressive. But in my mind, the Judgment Day retains here going into WrestleMania. Kyle, your thoughts?
I can't argue that, man. I mean, although I love the big strong boys, screw this New Catch Republic garbage. I like the big strong boys, Mustache Mountain. I mess with it. But that being said, I love DIY as well. I'm a big Ciampa guy. I like Johnny Gargano very much as well. I've gotten to meet him a couple times, and he couldn't have been cooler people. Although his taste in football teams coming from Detroit, that leaves a little bit to be desired. But with that being said, let's go Lions. Them refs are fucking rigged.
No.
But with that said,
Hey, brother, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. Trust me, I'm with you.
Hey, nobody don't like the Lions like the refs don't like the Lions. That's all I'm going to say. Detroit sports teams and referees got like the longest going feud in sports. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Long-term storytelling.
Oh my goodness.
I'm calling it like it is. I have plenty of exhibits we can point to.
but with that said, with this match,
I don't think we're seeing new champions.
I think like you said, Rob, I think
We're going to keep Judgment Day strong going into WrestleMania. I like DIY too, but again, like I think most of us would agree, I think as far as DIY goes, I just don't think that they see the same thing in them on the main roster. Even though Trips is running it on the main roster, I just don't know that they're ever really going to be able to have them compete as a real tag team, because even though they look great and they're in a lot better shape than I am,
they're a lot smaller than a lot of the teams that are on the main roster. And while I think that they can always be competitive,
I don't know that they will have the same run like they did on NXT,
in my opinion.
But with that being said,
I think the Judgment Day wins this, but I
like that they put Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate back together.
I don't know how long we see this team thing kind of, stay together or whatever, but I mean,
like you said, I'm just glad we're not calling him Butch anymore.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I think obviously a great singles competitors in their own right, and there's no reason really for them to win those tag team championships. That being said, Johnny Gargano is now the current reigning and defending up, down champion. Wayne, what do you got on this one?
I am finally going to break away from the pack. I absolutely have Judgment Day losing the belt to the
Are you now? Are you just getting crafty?
No.
Or are you feeling it?
No, I'm feeling it. And
Okay.
Here's why. All right, so let's look at the card, right? We talked about it before we came on the air. Like, this should be a pretty, and I know it's weird to say on a prediction show, but it should be a pretty predictable show, right? You got things that they've built up. heading into WrestleMania. You got things that the last couple Raws and SmackDown, just the way the storylines have been getting tweaked and kind of twisting. You're like, okay, I see him winning, going on to fight him. I see them pairing up, blah, blah, blah. Right? So we talk about Damian Priest, a possible Raw after Mania cash in, or what have you. Well, if they're still the tag champions and he cashes in, like, then you got that double belt situation. And while it does happen here and there, the promoters don't like double belts.
Can I just say, not to interrupt you, my guy, but dude, I hate how people hate that so much. I don't know if I'm the only one that does, but damn it, I'm a Stone Cold guy. I loved the 2-man power trip. God damn it, I don't care if they got 2 belts, at least for, it doesn't gotta be for long, but even if it's just for a minute. Why do people gotta hate on people trying to be great? Like, let Gunther go for the damn world title while he still got the Intercontinental strap. Don't mind me.
Yeah, I don't hate the 2 belt thing either. I agree. I agree. I don't hate 2 belts at all, because when Becky was 2 belt Becky, that was fire. And then even when Saraya, and even when Saraya was double champion, it was cool for a minute too. So I mean, I do love the double champ vibe.
So both of you, look, we said, why are people afraid of greatness? Look, I have a sign back there that says allergic to average, right? That's not my thing. But here's what I'm saying from a money standpoint, right? If I'm putting on a show as a promoter, and the more title matches,
I understand the why. I don't know why fans hate it so much.
But if we talk about Becky 2 belts, that was the same belt. Those were women's championship belts. We're talking about a championship potentially and a tag team championship. Those are 2 different bookings on the card. You know what I mean?
2-man power trip.
I get it, but how long ago was that? It's a different time.
That's why it makes it good, damn it.
Yep, it's a different time in wrestling now. I feel like we talk about the slide that Judgment Day is going to inevitably make. I feel like this is the beginning of that. Like, I didn't think Dunn and Bate were going to get past DIY. I was blown away when they won. I was like, holy shit, are you kidding me? Like, I was watching my mother-in-law, I'm like, DIY's got this. They got to build this. And then they won. And I'm thinking, okay, this is what we're doing. Why not finish this? And I know they're both great singles wrestlers. You don't have to have the belt on them for a year, but just start the conversation of, okay, we don't have the tag belts no more. You have that briefcase, so you're set up for the future. What about Finn Balor? You know, where do I stand in all this? Right? And that's why I'm thinking Judgment Day. Plus, as a fan, I need something in Elimination Chamber. My ass is getting up at 4:30 a.m. You know, like, give me something. Give me a wow moment. Give me something to say, okay, I'm glad I didn't sleep through this and then, watch it later after reading the spoilers. I want a wow moment that I witnessed live because I'm investing my time to get up at the ass crack of dawn. Give me new tag titles because you're not going to change the script on anything else. Nothing else is going to be unpredictable. I just want something to make me say, damn, the world didn't see that coming, and I'm glad I got up for it. That's why I think that the titles change.
Very well said. And Wayne, you're getting some props in the chat. Kelvin saying, let's go Wayne Keener. Yes, because he says Dunn and Bate with the upset. Let's start planting the seeds for Damian Priest versus Finn Balor once Priest cashes in. Kelvin also coming in hot with this one. He's saying The Rock and Roman are the new 2-man power trip. Wow. Strong words. Kyle likes that. Shameka in the chat. We need new tag belts. I'm tired of seeing the 4 belts. They replaced all the. I see in terms of hardware. Okay.
I got one thing to add to what he was just saying with The Rock and Roman necessarily being like the new 2-man power trip. Here's the other reason why something like that would work very well, in my opinion, because how many teams have we seen them throw together even in just the last 5 years? There were a bunch of fucking single guys that they put together just because I don't have shit for you to do. I don't have shit for you to do. Let's make them a tag team. And then they keep them together for quite a while. At least this way, if it went the route that they're talking about with The Rock and Roman, obviously that would be like a powerhouse. But, I mean, they keep putting singles guys together. At least if you're going to do that, I mean, Could you think of two better guys to do that? I mean, but I don't think that happens for the simple fact that, The Rock, I don't think would ever be around enough for that to happen.
True.
But I'm just saying, with as much as we see singles guys put together, not mad at it.
Okay, very, very interesting stuff, man. And I'm glad, Wayne, first of all, thank you for going against the grain, because I'm sitting here, this is going to be one we're all going to pick the same thing, and rightfully so, man. But even in the chat, Kelvin chiming, and yes, Kelvin, you will be back on the show. 2024, Kelvin returns to the BCP, shameless promo. That being said, Kelvin agreeing with Wayne on this one, and I'd like to see some funny business, maybe a little R-Truth appearance. Maybe R-Truth plays a hand in the Judgment Day. Losing
R-Truth versus JD McDonough. Book it.
Let's do it. Live, laugh,
before
and
we go to
love.
Stephanie real quick, I want to say
Please.
something about R-Truth.
Of course.
I bought the Live, Laugh, Love Judgment Day shirt.
Yes.
And hold on, we talk about the nuances of this. You know how there are bootleg shirts that R-Truth's selling and giving the proceeds?
Mm-hmm.
The shirt is literally a horrible screen print copy.
Really?
Wow.
The quality of the shirts are literally made as though it's somebody like running it on their cricket press in their back in their garage. Like
Printing money, brother.
It's not crisp.
That's
not
dedication.
clean. It's made to be that way, which makes it 100 times more funny how they made that Live, Laugh, Love shirt. I think it's fantastic.
Brilliant. I wish they'd let that play out a little bit more, but we're revving up into Mania season. It's interesting, Truth, and I love seeing Truth with DIY selfishly. So, guys, again, share the stream. Let us know in the chat who you got. Thank you guys so much for staying up, tuning in, joining the chat. Let's talk about the women's elimination.
No. We gotta go to Stephanie, right? She didn't pick, did she?
I
didn't pick a prediction for the tag team.
I'm sorry, Steph. Go ahead. I'm monitoring the chat. I'm very old and all over the place. I apologize. Please, by all means.
It's okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, the tag team picture is really panning out to be something that I'm, kind of enjoying, because I do love DIY. I loved everything that they represented in Black and Gold NXT, and my heart was broken when they broke up. And then just to see them come back together again on the main roster and actually get a fair go of it is really cool. I do wish they would change their theme song though, just a little bit,
right.
But it's okay.
I'm with you. I agree.
Yeah, but outside of that, I'm glad that they are together, because they've been having killer matches on Raw. But then I love Pete Dunne and how he's basically made his return after being in the Bush persona for so long and finding himself, and now he's the Bruiserweight again with Tyler Bate, who I would imagine is his greatest friend and also his greatest rival too. So a part of me
train him too.
Right. Like they have all of that history with each other. Like I'll never forget, like they were my gateway into the UK scene when it came to like the UK tournament that WWE had for that title. Like I had never really seen, that many UK fans that passionate about wrestling before, and they were my gateway into it. So seeing them, on this level is just really exciting for me, and I'm really happy for them. I am definitely hoping that the big, strong bruiserweights can win, because they're just so cool together. I love their vibe. I love the fact that they have a long friendship. And I just feel like them winning the titles would definitely like put a bigger stamp on SmackDown, and it'll give more of an exposure and eyes to them in a way that people really would have no choice but to fully look at them, not only for their talent and their personalities, but because they're the champions. And the Judgment Day have just had a stranglehold on everything. Like for like the past, it feels like year or 2 years, they've just been doing everything, winning everything, ruining everybody's dreams and all of that. And I just feel like now they just need to chill out and just not have everything now. So I feel like, somehow or another, R-Truth might ruin it, for the Judgment Day, and they really might lose this time. And I'm predicting that Tyler and Pete will win.
What? Wow, another one. Wow. Steph goes, see, I feel like I'm way off base here. I'm thinking Judgment Day takes it into Mania, but you guys bring up some great points. Maybe R-Truth gets involved, like you guys were saying. That's really interesting. Maybe that miscommunication maybe leads to, like Kelvin was saying, a Finn Damian match at WrestleMania. That's good stuff. Great stuff, Steph. And Steph, I'm going to throw it right back to you because we're going to talk in our women's elimination chamber match. I'm very excited for this one. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair versus Liv Morgan versus Tiffany Stratton versus one of my favorites, Naomi versus the returning Raquel Rodriguez. Steph, does it have to be Becky? They've been so focused on Becky. Months ago, Rhea said, literally, we talked to Nia about it. She literally just said, I'll see you at WrestleMania, Becky. Will this come to fruition? Steph, what do you got?
Ooh, I feel like for me, on a very personal level, because I am such a deep and loving advocate for women's wrestling, I know that this match is going to be amazing, but it's definitely the hardest to predict because I know what I would want in terms of a person to win, but this match is here again so stacked with so many talented girls that it could very well just go to anybody, even though Becky has been really focused on wanting to fight Rhea for that title because she's never won that title before and she wants to have a bigger moment. The argument can be made that Becky doesn't necessarily need the title right now because she's Becky Lynch, and also because last year, she won the tag titles with Lita, and then she went on to have an amazing feud with Trish Stratus, and then she went to NXT and won that title, so against Tiffany Stratton, who's in this match now. So it's just kind of like, if Becky doesn't win it, it won't hurt her so bad, but at the same time, I can't imagine a WrestleMania without Becky, and I also can't imagine a WrestleMania without Bianca either, because there's just so much star power there that either one of them could win, and Bianca's the only one who's ever won an Elimination Chamber out of all those girls. So it's just like, Jesus Christ. Those would be my top two, and then I want Naomi to get it all because she's just coming back, and she's coming back for everything that she wasn't fully allowed to have during her first initial run, and it's just like, oh my God, all of these girls are so amazing, and it's just so hard. And then you have Liv, who wants to go on her revenge tour, which I totally get, but my gosh, she's just been gone for so long. I just don't know. I feel like there needs to be more time for me to buy into her story a little bit more before we just jump to her being at WrestleMania. So, it's so hard. It's so hard because all these women are so great. But I am going to predict that it's going to be Becky. It's going to be Becky because she's definitely hungry. Out of all of the women, she's definitely the hungriest, and she's on fire the most to have another great moment at WrestleMania. But if you were really looking at it, all of the women are truly hungry. They all are. Tiffany's looking to try to prove herself. Naomi's trying to prove herself. Raquel is looking to prove herself after her triumphant return. Every woman is looking to prove themselves in some way, shape, or form. But I'm just going to choose Becky Lynch to win the whole thing.
It's a solid pick and great assessment of the match there, Steph. That's why you're here. Jeffrey T. Fountain in the chat, and Jeffrey's shouting him out. He does our SmackDown coverage on bcpplus.com, so thank you, Jeffrey, for that. He's going to say Becky wins. They're pushing Rhea Becky too hard for this not to happen. Seth in the chat saying, I stand for Naomi and root for her every match because she is perfectly suited for the Money in the Bank victory in July. Very interesting. Imagine that briefcase decked out in glow paint or LEDs. I am so here for it. Let's go. I would love for that. Kelvin in the chat saying, my gut says Becky, but man, I want Naomi to walk out the victor for sure. Man, I feel that we've always been such a pro Becky show too. Kyle, I'm all over the place. Kyle, help me out, please.
Okay. So again, like I talked about with the men's elimination chamber, I feel like a lot of the people that we see in this match are going to end up shaking out against each other come WrestleMania time. Like, quite honestly, I think we're probably going to end up, I've already heard it rumored a few places, and I think especially with what we've seen on SmackDown, I think we're probably going to see Bianca versus maybe a Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania. But I think Becky's got to win because The other reason being, and this isn't a slight to anybody else who's there. Like again, kind of, I'll use your analogy, Rob, with the process of elimination type thing.
Okay.
Okay. Realistically, Bianca just had a very long title reign before EO got the belt. Bianca's doing the whole thing with the TV show. If she's going to win the title back, I would imagine they would want to have some kind of coverage of her winning the title back and then all the shit that comes with it. Which, since the first season just dropped, they still got to see if they're going to pick that up for a season 2 yet. So I feel like if they're going to do that, that would be something that they would want to get on the TV show. Not that I'm saying that they care about that show being the reason why she wins or loses. I'm just saying, I think given the type of run she had and how long it was, I don't think that they would put it back that quick. But I think Bianca has cemented herself at this point to where she's going to stay at the top kind of regardless. The same as I said that I feel like, you have to keep Nia at the top of the women's division. So with that being said, that takes Bianca out of the picture. I think Tiffany Stratton's going to be money for the women's division for a long time. I love Bianca too. I've met her and she's super cool people. Like, I have nothing bad to say about her or Montez for that point, or hell, Dawkins either. But with that said, that brings me to some of the other people. I think Raquel Rodriguez is going to have a big year in 2024, and I think that they can insert her into the title picture, or at least making her back to where she's one of the top players in the women's division. But I hadn't thought about the whole idea of the Money in the Bank with Naomi. I'm here for that too. I think that'd be really dope. I don't think she's going to win the Elimination Chamber, but I do think that Naomi's somebody who for quite a while is going to be around the top of the picture, especially with her returning from TNA and the run that she had there with the title. And especially with everything we've kind of seen in the last few days with TNA, I kind of think that there's going to be a lot of names that are coming from the TNA thing that maybe their time in TNA is going to kind of give them that fresh coat of paint, like you always hear as far in the wrestling business. I think it's going to give them that fresh coat of paint, and I don't think that Naomi's going to be the first that we're going to see make their way back there or to other places. I and especially with all those, the hourglass tweets and all that, but that's a story for another time. As far as this match, though, I think Becky has to be it. I really do. I think Becky has to be it. She's called Rhea out in that promo that she cut. Whether or not Becky, quote unquote, necessarily needs it or not, no, she doesn't need it at this point. I mean, Becky's really cemented herself regardless of how this match goes. But I also look at it in terms of like, okay, we're going to be doing WrestleMania now, and this isn't a slight, and even with 2 days, I mean, and I think I would like to see more emphasis put back on the women's division, not just in WWE, but in wrestling as a whole. But I mean, think about this economically, right? Even with 2 days of WrestleMania, there are only so many spots that they're going to put women's matches on there when you've got The Rock and Roman Reigns and Cody and whoever the hell else they're going to bring in between now and then, and what else they've got to put on the card. So I feel like if you're talking about what's going to be the match for the women's title like that, I feel like Becky is the most marquee person that's in that match that you could put in that spot. And I'm not saying that somebody like a Bianca couldn't fill that role, but for the reasons I've already named, I think Becky has been away from the main card title for long enough. Like, to your point, Stephanie, yes, she went and won the NXT title, but let's be honest, even though NXT is in a lot better light now than it was as the NXT 2.0 thing, I think a lot of WWE fans, at least those that aren't maybe necessarily as much a hardcore as we are, don't really look at the NXT title in the same light as you do the main roster title. So yes, technically she's had gold recently, but it's been a while since she's been around the main title. And this is long-term booking wise, but let's not forget, I mean, Charlotte's going to be out for a long time, but if Becky was the one to take the belt off, and we already had the start of them kind of reigniting that thing, and like, look, we weren't done yet, and this, that, and the other. And even if you're going at it from the standpoint of who's better than who, then think about it in this sense. If Bayley wins the other title from Io, then you could have a situation where Bayley and Becky have the titles. And then, I mean, I'm just saying, man, there's a lot of, I'm just saying, I mean, like I said, I think that that actually opens up more possibilities for where you can go with it. And I think, again, to what I was saying earlier, I think Bianca has cemented herself in a way where, regardless of whether she wins the Elimination Chamber, I don't really think you really can take her that far out of the title picture at this point with a win or a loss in the Chamber, especially if this TV show that they got with her and Montez hits the way I'm sure it will. Then she's only going to be further on the tip of people's tongues, because look what Total Divas did for a lot of the other ones. So I'm just saying, even without a win, I don't think Naomi goes down that far. And why did I say no? Naomi, Jesus Christ. I can't even talk. That's what tells you I'm going postal. I've been at the post office too long today. But
God
with that
bless
said,
you, bro.
I literally, side note, I literally watched two people throw down like it was about to throw down for the world title in the post office lobby before I left.
Boy.
So, yeah.
That was
yeah,
a workers.
Holy cow.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'll tell that one maybe off air.
Yeah,
but,
smart man. Yeah,
girl,
leave it.
The one that started the whole thing. If it were me, she might have found out what time it was too. So with that being said,
oh boy,
she might have found out what time it was too. But again, maybe that's a story for knockouts and 3 counts after dark. But with that said, I think Becky has to be the one. Again, like I said, WrestleMania being what it is, you have to have the most marquee match. And to me, that makes the most sense, at least where we're at right now. Now, could they do something in the next 2 months between now and then and totally blow up what the hell I'm saying, and then we're thinking completely different by the time we get to WrestleMania? Hell yeah, they could. But based on what we're seeing right now and the people that are in the chamber, I think Becky is the more logical pick. But with the way WWE's going right now, who knows? Maybe Stephanie McMahon will pull the card The Rock did, and the next thing you know, she'll be champion again.
Wow. Interesting stuff, man.
I'm just talking shit on that. That would be a plot twist if there was one.
Oh boy, hey man, never say never. Great assessment of that match. Wayne, you want me to go first? You want to take it home? You want to go first? What do you think?
I'll go first so you can take it home, because I really don't, nothing groundbreaking. I have Becky Lynch. One of the subplots, though, like we talked about the men's chamber, I do believe maybe when there's an elimination and the doors open, I do believe we see Cargill come in and cost Belair the match, and it sets up Belair Cargill at WrestleMania.
I'm here for that. That's dope.
I'm here for that as well.
When that moment happened at the Raw, you know what I mean? Like, just the energy was palpable. And whether it's, just like everybody's, from the moment WWE signed Cargill, we're like, oh my God, that moment has to happen. And it did. And like, we need a more polished, a more ready, a more, ring proven Jade to make that make sense. But I feel like that's the beginning of that. And I feel like with all the work she's doing in the Performance Center and all the people that are working with her, I feel like Belair will protect her. She will be safe enough to protect Belair. And I feel like that's what you push toward Mania. If one thing comes out of the women's chamber, I think it's Belair, Jade heading into Mania. But I think Becky Lynch wins the chamber.
Really good stuff, man. You guys bring a lot to the table. I'll close it out real quick, and we'll get our shameless promo in. Real quick in the chat, Gina Rossman saying Raquel Rodriguez deserves a title shot. Yeah, very happy to see her back. Someone had listed, I'm trying to find it, listed one-on-one match. This is Seth with the stats. Okay, Seth, thank you so much. One-on-one matchups to not yet happen in WWE. Becky, and correct us if we're wrong here. I'm just reading Becky versus Rhea, Rhea versus Bianca, Bianca versus Naomi, Raquel versus Bianca, Raquel versus Rhea. Interesting. Very, very interesting stuff. Piggybacking off what you said, Wayne, I could see it being Bianca because I was wondering, I'm like, did Bianca ever fight Rhea? I didn't know if there was like an NXT thing.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, was it
She
NXT?
fought her in NXT for the NXT Women's title at NXT TakeOver Portland because that was when Bianca debuted her Black History in the Making gear with the cape that she had that was Macho Man-esque.
Yes.
And that was in 2020 before the pandemic.
I love the stats. Yeah, it was like right before. It was like not too long before, right?
Yeah, right before. Yeah.
I remember watching. I think Johnny took on Finn Balor, if I remember correctly. That was a good pay-per-view. But I'm thinking, so maybe he means main roster or something like that because I feel like they did fight in NXT. Now, they are both on the cover of the video game, so I'm wondering if that would play into it. But don't forget, Becky Lynch releasing the book. She's doing her book tour the end of March. So that'll be interesting. She'll be coming out here over at Bookends in New Jersey. Shameless promo. It's already sold out. So congrats, Becky Lynch. I'm definitely going to be picking up the book, covering all of that. That being said, Wayne, to your point, that moment, I was there at the Rumble. Kyle, you know the deal. Jade, Bianca. And Jade looked fantastic in the Rumble. Looked fantastic. Didn't miss a beat. I think having her have these marquee matches, we get on Roman for it.
Naomi too.
Oh gosh, yeah. Oh yeah. But I'm so locked in on Naomi having that briefcase at close.
Oh, I'm with you, but I mean, we got to get to WrestleMania first.
Yes. No. You're 100% right. A lot of people in the chat saying Naomi, you could bring her into the bloodline as well. We saw obviously front and center.
I would love that.
Yeah, Trinity Fatu on the tree.
I'm here for Zelina winning Money in the Bank because she is someone who deserves her just due. I love Naomi, and the idea of the case, but I'm definitely here for Zelina winning it as well because she deserves a huge moment with her, evolution and her improvement and with everything she's done with the LWO. And after having her big moment in Puerto Rico last year, I definitely believe that she is a front runner for Miss Money in the Bank, and I'm pushing for that as well. But, it would be cool if Naomi got it too. But pushing for Zelina.
I love that you brought up Puerto Rico because I meant to mention this earlier. I just have a feeling like Australia is going to be one of those crowds. You know what I mean? Like I feel it's going to be like, oh.
If it's anything like it was in the UFC, dude, it's going to be fucking gnarly.
Yeah, okay. So in the UFC, it was crazy in Australia.
Well, I mean, you just had Volk go for champ against Islam Makhachev over there in Australia, and them people were losing their mind.
Yeah?
That was like my pay-per-view of the year.
Wow.
On our show for MMA, and you bring up that Backlash show. That was the show I picked for my pay-per-view of the year last year, just because that crowd was fucking hype as shit.
Good stuff, man. I appreciate you bringing that to that table. That's very well said. So now expectations are even higher for that crowd. Australia going to bring it come Saturday morning. That being said, Bianca, Jade, I feel that's the WrestleMania match, man. I could see Bianca Rhea too because of the video game, but man, I was here for it before they even interacted in the Rumble, and that interaction was good because they both have that strength. Bianca obviously with that agility and just that standoff when they're both doing the bench press, the power press. Such an amazing moment. Like Wayne said, it was palpable, man. It was there. It was money. Print it. Let's go. Having Jade be that marquee player that only shows up every once in a while or for the big events, it's perfect. We get on Roman for it a little bit, but I feel like this is right now for Jade perfect. I honestly thought Jade was going to come out number 30, win the Royal Rumble, and be the one to challenge Rhea. Obviously we've never seen that before, and Jade just being the one to dethrone Rhea. I don't think we're getting that, although I do like that idea of Jade getting involved in the Women's Elimination Chamber match. We've seen Edge, he took out Kofi that one time, with no rhyme or reason, but now he's in the match. So that could be very interesting. Jade could be a big factor here, Wayne. Good stuff. And for that reason, and because of the book release, we've always been a pro Becky show. I can't go against her here. It's written in the stars. Becky Lynch having that big time match. Once again, big time Bex at WrestleMania versus mommy Rhea Ripley. So Guys, really good stuff. I felt this was going to be a show where we were all just going to agree, and you guys brought such fun, interesting points to this panel. So thank you for joining us. But guys, before we get out of here, we're all about that shameless self-promotion here on the BCP. Wayne, tell everyone about a little something you got going on called Key Nation.
Yeah, well, Key Nation is just my, my brand I made because like everybody has a brand. So I figure if I could sell a T-shirt, why the hell not? But mainly it's just like some dumb dad jokes and TikTok dances I do with the kids on TikTok, and stupid memes and stuff on Facebook. Just being a ridiculous human being in a number of different ways. Also, with the spring coming up, we got the big garden spring event coming up at Home Depot. So if you want to get your gardening all ready and get your tools and everything like that, Home Depot is the place. We got big events coming up there. But other than that, I'm just watching wrestling, spending time with the family and work, and I appreciate this opportunity as always, Rob. This is always fun, and it was really an honor meeting Stephanie and Kyle. You guys were awesome. This was a great time.
Likewise, G.
Love it, man. And
this is great. Thank you.
Of course. What's that shirt you're wearing again over there, Wayne? What do you rock?
Oh yeah, this is the BCP, the NWO style, So.
Yeah, you know the deal. Real quick in the chat, Reese, thank you for joining us, staying up. Always with the lots of stats tonight, saying Orton will set a new record by competing in his 9th chamber match. Very interesting. We appreciate it. I'm a stats guy. Wow. I love that. Steph, tell everyone about a great show you have called the Hardy Wrestling Podcast.
Well, yeah, of course, first of all, thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on with you. And of course, you can follow me, your girl, Stephanie Hardy, on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. And you can follow my show, The Hardy Wrestling Podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, audio-wise, on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else. You can also subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, where you can find almost all of my interviews and every episode that I've ever done up until this point. And you can also check out my post show for WoW Superheroes called Steph and Kat Talk WoW, which I co-host with Katrina Blake of In Cat We Trust. And we have some interviews that we've done with the WoW Superheroes, like the Tonga Twins, like Jesse Jones, and this week with Keita Rush and Foxy Fierce. So please check those out, and also continue to support my writings that I do with Daily DDT. I love working with them, so please read my articles there, and also book your girl for commentary gigs because I am open.
Damn straight.
Yeah. So just continue to support the Hardy Wrestling Podcast brand and just support me in my growth as a wrestling girl, finding her voice in this crazy world.
You're killing it, Steph, and thanks for joining us. You're always welcome back here. And Kelvin in the chat real quick saying, loving the dynamic tonight. Yeah, I told you it was an all-star panel, man. I'm not messing around. I know what I'm doing here. And speaking of all-stars, let's throw it to our guy, Kyle. Knockouts and 3 counts. It's not just WWE. Shit. So we got MMA, UFC. I always learn something when I talk to this guy. Tell us about your product, brother.
Oh man, knockouts and 3 counts. You never quite know what the hell you're gonna get from there, and that's why I'm shocked they still let me have a microphone. But in the meantime, if you go over there and check us out, you can check us out on all podcast platforms. You can check us out on YouTube. You can check us out on millions. Buy a damn shirt. Please buy a damn shirt. But I got a new one that's getting ready to come out. Ring the bell. Shout out that I'm your poppy shirt or I'm your mommy shirt. Stay tuned for those. Those are coming soon. But on the show, we've got a lot that has been coming through the pike. I mean, if you've been paying attention on anything that's been going on, Circle 6 just came to town. So we had Bobby Beverly came through. Kevin Gill just came through the show. And then we were also joined by Hoodfoot. Joyce just joined the show. Always good to chop it up with the homie Hoodfoot. Then this week we were joined. I've had a busy week this week. Tuesday, shout out to my guy, Devin Smith, the godson of the great Rashad Evans. Going to be fighting for that LFA welterweight interim strap tomorrow night, UFC Fight Pass. Check that shit out. Go check out our interview with him as well. Shout out to Rashad Evans, who just joined the show, who was on there with Devin. So make sure you go check that out as well. I know if you're going to be around the Michigan area, I will be live and live in color at the Motor City Casino at the soundboard for the fights going down Saturday night. Book me for some more commentary. I know The week after I get back from WrestleMania, I will be live on pay-per-view on Spectation Sports for Lights Out Championship. The following 2 weeks after that, I'll be back live on Spectation Sports for Big John's MMA. There's some other things that are in the work there. I'm making my wrestling debut on commentary in March. We're staying busy out here, boys and girls. I've got there might be some new sponsors coming to the show soon as well. But as far as the show, we got a lot of stuff coming. Shout out to our guy Joe the Party Penafiel, who will be fighting Bare Knuckle MMA for George Masvidal's Bare Knuckle FC. Or not Bare Knuckle FC, Gamebred FC, excuse me. He's fighting Charles Crazy Horse Bennett March 2nd. We will have the party coming back through. And on the wrestling side of things, a little birdie told me that there might be a few things from the world of the NWA that you want to check out. We just were joined by two of the Southern Six. Alex Taylor and Kerry Morton came through. Ruthie J just came through. Shout out to my guy, Bulletproof Troop, as well. So Knockouts and Three Counts is staying busy in this joint. But yeah, just stay tuned because you never know what's going to come on the other side of that. And shout out to Millions and all our sponsors.
Love it, guys. Great panel, great dynamic. You'll all be back here on the BCP. Thank you for making the time. Guys, Elimination Chamber Saturday morning. Get up early if you're on the East Coast. Enjoy the show. And guys, like we always say here on the BCP, everyone stay safe, stay positive, take care of each other. We out. Peace. Guys, before we get started, with On Air E, and be sure to hit that follow button. Thank you from the left side. Please welcome back one of our favorite sponsors, Mania Club. Established in 2015, Mania Club is a WWE-recognized community for fans with an eclectic love for both the world of professional wrestling and raising money for Connor's Cure. During WrestleMania weekend, we host the official tailgate of WrestleMania while also celebrating the life of Conor McCallum. They are the single largest donor within the V Foundation for Connor's Cure with over 150,000 raised. Please donate and join the Facebook group over at Mania Club on Facebook. Donate at jimmyv.org/Mania Club. Guys, I want to shout out one of our favorite sponsors, BKG, Bubba John, Kim, and Gabby. This fam consistently shows their love and support for wrestlers on both the independent and national level, reminding us what this is really all about. Bubba has been a strong supporter of the BCP, primarily in our charity work, donating multiple items, time, and effort. Thank you, BKG. Please welcome in our new sponsors on the BCP, Masters of Your Memories, featuring celebrity and athlete appearances, pop culture items, toys, memorabilia, and more. Be sure to check out their next event, Masters of Your Memories Autograph and Collectible Show at Rockaway Town Square here in New Jersey on March 30th, featuring the American Gladiators, members of the cast from the hit TV show The Sopranos, and so much more. Thank you, Masters of Your Memories. Please welcome in our new BCP sponsors for the year of 2024, Bree Combination Wrestling. Ahead of their event, Queen of the North 5 is the most prestigious women's tournament in the Northeast and their favorite event of the year, Saturday, April 20th, 2024 at the Mecca in Ridgefield Park, New Jersey. Get your tickets now at qotn5.eventbrite.com. Thank you, BCW. I want to thank our sponsors, Warriors of Wrestling, ahead of their Saturday, February 10th show in Staten Island, New York, featuring AEW superstar Santana, Angel Metro, Darius Carter, E-Rock, Chris Steeler, TJ Marconi, Dexter Obsidian, Tony Booz, Justin Adams, Roger Mendez, and so many more. Get your tickets now at warriorsofwrestling.com.